What's going on, guys? Callsign Rice here, back in with another YouTube video. Now, I make a lot of videos on how to play Airsoft and different tactics and stuff that you can use while you're playing to make you a better player on the field. However, I don't really get into the beginner steps that a lot of people need when they first start playing Airsoft. I get a lot of questions on my TikTok and Instagram, as well as my YouTube, on how to get into Airsoft, what kind of stuff you should practice as a beginner. I also get a lot of questions on how you should set up your gear and what kind of stuff you should buy when you first start playing. That's what we're going to cover in this video. I'm going to cover my gear and how I set it up to be combat effective. This will be a video series for a beginner's journey on how to get into Airsoft. Later on in the series, we'll get into beginner drills and how to be more combat effective on the field. But as of today, we're just going over how I set up my gear and some tips that I have for beginners when they first start playing Airsoft. So let's get right into the video. So as you guys can see, I have my basic loadout on right now. I have my baseball hat on, a basic set of iPro, a plate carrier, and my belt setup. Now, a lot of people when they first start playing Airsoft, they don't necessarily look at a belt setup. However, I find that when I started playing Airsoft, having a belt and having first line gear on my waist was probably the best way to set up because of how much I could carry. Now, a lot of people when they first start playing also look at a vest. So we're going to get into my plate carrier pretty quickly, and I'm going to show you guys everything that I have on it and as to why I have it on. Now, just a quick preface before we get started, I'm not an Airsoft pro in any way. I've only been playing for just over a year now, and these tips are in no way meant to be taken 100% seriously. If you don't find these to be effective for you, then you don't have to listen to them at all. You can gladly click over and move to the next video. However, these are the tips that I found to make myself combat effective and a better player on the field. So let's get into it. This is a basic Amazon Yakata plate carrier. I probably spent around $50 or $60 on this, and I set it up to the point where it is effective for me. I don't necessarily have anything added on to it. It's more just stock as to how it came, but there are a couple modifications that I made to make it where it fits for me. So starting from the top, these are some basic shoulder strap covers that came from a basic Amazon JPC that I got when I first started playing, and I threw these on so they're more comfortable on my shoulders. When this vest first came in, it came with these shotgun shell straps over the shoulders, and I found that they were digging into my neck and different regions around this upper area, so it wasn't really comfortable when I tried to move my neck around or maneuver away when I tried to move my head or do anything else around my upper neck region. So I actually switched them out from the basic Amazon plate carrier to this vest, and I threw the basic thin shoulder straps on it. And I found it more useful to the point whenever I shouldered my weapon, the stock could actually go into my shoulder without getting in the way of those thick straps. Now moving down, as you can see, my magazines are pointed off to my right or your left. So the reason I do that is because when I'm shouldering my gun, I am able to pull the magazines out and they'll automatically be indexed to the point where I could throw it into my rifle and already have them set up. Now, what I see a lot of the times with newer players is they get these basic plate carriers to the point where they have the Velcro straps where you can rip them up and pull the mags out. I found that with Kydex retention, that having an open mag carrier will be a lot easier to the point where you can easily pull your mags out without having to move anything extra. The Velcro straps are pretty easy to change up. You could either A, cut them and cauterize them to the point where they're not pulling off any loose strings or anything. You can cut them down to the point where they're behind the mag and you just have an automatic open carrier, or you can take the flap, fold it behind the magazine, and you also have an open plate carrier to the point where if you want to use those straps later on, you can take them out and refold them over. That's typically what a lot of players usually do once they get further on into playing. However, I personally found to just move away from them 100% would be the best option. Now, moving down to the belt setup is a little bit more sophisticated. Now, a lot of players don't really use a belt setup. I found that a lot of people just have a belt basically to put maybe one magazine or a dump pouch or maybe a thin holster that's a nylon holster. And this is a video that I actually posted on my Instagram a day or two ago by the time you guys see this video. And it's about the positives and negatives of a Kydex retention holster, like the one I have here, this Firearms 6360, versus a simple Amazon nylon holster. Now, getting into it quickly, I found that running a Kydex holster is a lot better because A, it doesn't move around, B, it's a lot more sturdy, and C, gives off more of a professional vibe. Now, with the Firearms 6360, it is custom fitted to fit a Glock 17 or a 22 with a flashlight. What I've also added with this holster is a thigh strap. Now, a lot of people don't really know about the thigh strap when they first start playing, but to explain it quickly is that the thigh strap is there to keep the holster retained, right? So whenever you draw from your holster, if you don't have a thigh strap, I'll take it off here for the purposes, right? I'm gonna try to draw my weapon, and the holster is gonna buck up. It's gonna come out and affect my draw. So I'm gonna keep trying to draw, and I can still draw my weapon and present it to the point where I'm effective. However, it's gonna take me a little bit extra time versus if I throw this thigh strap back on and it's secured to my upper thigh, I can draw my weapon without any obstruction or getting in the way of my angle when I try to draw. I found that thigh straps have been really effective in all my time playing. I used to not run one because I had a nylon holster. However, very quickly, I found a thigh strap to be almost necessary every time I played. However, you guys don't have to get a thigh strap, but I personally find that if you run a mid-ride holster like I do here, that a thigh strap is pretty necessary. Moving on to the other concepts of the belt, I carry 2 AR taco magazine pouches, as well as 2 9mm Glock pouches. This way, I have first line gear per se. So my belt is the first set of gear that I go to. So say I'm running my Glock, right? Slide locks back, emergency reload. First thing that I'm finding to reach to is my first line gear. That's my belt setup. Belt setup is the first place that you're gonna reach to when you need new gear, right? So magazine goes dry, bring it into my workspace, reach down immediately, muscle memory, reach down, grab the new magazine, choke it out, magazine in, reload, slide goes back, present the pistol again. The whole point of the first line gear is to be the first place that you reach to. And I find that having a belt setup is the best way to have first line gear at your disposal. The last thing I want to go into is head protection. Now, if you're under the age of 16 or 17 on most fields, you will be required to wear full face protection. However, if you are over the age of full face protection being required at your field, there are a couple options that you can move to. What I have here is my basic fast helmet that I use whenever I go out on the field to record. Now, a helmet is a great way to not only look good on the field and to carry extra things on your head, but it's also a great way to protect your head. Now, a lot of people ask as to why I run a helmet. Why are helmets so popular in Airsoft? It's a helmet. It's head protection. If you were to bang your head off a tree, branch, loose pole, or something like that, if you were to fall, it's a great way to protect your head. Now, helmets in Airsoft are not required whatsoever, but I found they're great options to not only offer some great transport for a camera or a battery pack, but it's also a great way to protect your head when you're in a small environment, especially if you're planning on playing indoors Airsoft. At a lot of indoor ranges, they have a field limit of 350 FPS. However, if you're shot at close ranges with an Airsoft gun, especially in the head, it tends to hurt. However, if you're not too big into the helmet game, you could also wear a basic cap. Now, I found that baseball caps offer more of a mercenary style look or a simple laid back look. If you don't feel like wearing a big bulky helmet, you can throw on a basic hat and keep yourself protected from the sun. Last thing I wanted to go into was Ear Pro. Now, a lot of people shit on Airsoft players for running Ear Pro. However, I find that these things are great for radio communication if you choose to run a radio, which you don't have to at all, but they're also great for protecting your ears. No one wants to get shot in the ear. Nobody wants to get a BB stuck down the ear, right? So these are a great way to not only protect your ear, but look good while in the field. Now, a quick couple suggestions for buying Airsoft gear. I went into this in a couple of my older videos, but when you first look into getting Airsoft gear, there are a couple websites that I highly suggest going to. Airsoft Junkies, Airsplat, Evike, or even Amazon. Now, when I first started playing Airsoft, I got all of my gear off Amazon. Now, Amazon's a great way to save money and get some really good deals as well as fast shipping. If you were to order your beginner gear off Evike, yes, it would be better quality sometimes. However, you spend more money on either the uprated charges or the faster shipping. Now, when shopping on Amazon, however, there are a couple things that you have to look out for. Make sure that when you're buying gear, make sure it's from a trusted seller. You don't want to buy anything that's from third-party sites or anybody that doesn't look too reliable. One thing I mainly suggest is stay away from the SWAT vest. The SWAT vests that zip up the middle are made out of the thin materials that have holes in them that are ventilated. Get a plate carrier either from One Tigress, Yakata, or another trusted brand. This is from Yakata personally. I found that it's great, it's sturdy, and I threw some dummy plates in it to really keep its form. This is a great Amazon plate carrier. My gear list will be in the description below. Definitely check it out, but stay away from those SWAT vests. They're something that you definitely don't want to invest in. Another thing is eye pro. Do not cheap out on eye pro. Eye pro is going to be something that's going to get you seriously injured. You very well should protect them. If you don't protect your eyes, then you're not going to be out on that field for a long time. Alright guys, so that was the first part of this series of A Beginner's Journey. I do hope you guys enjoy this. Stay tuned for part 2 when we get into weapon fundamentals.